Hey friend, I hope you're doing well. I have got something super special for you today. It's a little different than I normally do. My daughter created a Wizard Wonderland in her guest bedroom. Check this out.
Hello, my name is Sarah, and here's a few before photos of my guest bedroom / office, which some of you may have already seen a bit of in the apartment tour we did for a Christmas video a few months ago. But recently I've been playing the new Wizarding World game, and it sparked this idea. What if I turned my guest bedroom / office into a Harry Potter themed room? Now, I want to preface this tour by saying I did not have a large budget for this project at all. A lot of what I used were things that I already owned, thrifted, made, or found in the clearance sections of stores. So let's jump into it. This sign is my favorite quote from the Harry Potter books. It just really speaks to me, and it hung perfectly on the small wall right when you enter the room. And just around the corner, you'll see the bed and some artwork and everything that I placed in this. And let's dive into the details. The next bit of wall art is the Yule Ball illustration, which I just think is absolutely precious. Got the nightstand that I created using some old trunks, and I actually found this large trunk on Facebook Marketplace for $25, and usually those are very expensive, like $80 to $150, even on Facebook Marketplace. It was a little scuffed up, so I used a little bit of rub and buff on the gold hardware to brighten it up a bit. And then I added the HP on there, which were two little letters I got in the clearance section at Hobby Lobby for about 32 cents a piece. And I painted those gold and added those on there as well. I got this locking key at Hobby Lobby on sale, which I thought added a cool touch since Harry always talks about locking his trunk, so I added that there as well. This lamp is so cool. I actually got this at Goodwill for just a few dollars. And when I looked it up online, they sell for like hundreds of dollars online. But I just thought it reminded me of a Harry Potter lamp in their library or in their common room, so I used that as well. This is an illustration of the Burrow, which is where the Weasleys live. And this was originally a white piece of paper that I tea stained. And how you tea stain something, or coffee stain, is you just get a tray of water and you add coffee grounds or tea to it, and you soak the paper in there. And then when you drain it and let it dry, it's got this beautiful aged look. So that's how I did that. I found this adorable little owl at a thrift store, so he fit perfectly in the theme. I filled my Honeydukes jar with lemon drops for Dumbledore. And over here's a portrait of Remus, which is where my dog gets his name. I've got the Tales of Beedle the Bard, which is a children's book for the little wizards and witches in universe. So that's just kind of a cute little touch, I thought. And then I had this cauldron that I thrifted, and I also thrifted the stand that's on, and I just thought that looked really cool. So I put a plant in there because I love to use real plants, and I just thought that looked really neat and authentic. So that's the one side of the bed, and across the way you'll see some of the bedding that I chose. I chose for the duvet, this really pretty like rusty striped duvet, and then I chose a yellow, like a mustard yellow quilt, a blue pillow in the front, and a green pillow in the back. So if you look, that's all the colors of the Hogwarts houses. You've got blue, red, green, and yellow. Then in the front, my mom gifted me this sweet little pillow that is Harry Potter's first letter that he got to Hogwarts, and it's hand-stitched. It's absolutely precious. It's from Pottery Barn, and it's not something I would have been able to afford on my own, but she gifted it to me, and so it's really special to me. Above the bed are Daily Prophet newsprints that I just got some Goodwill frames. They're all different, but I painted them the same color, so you really can't tell that they're different. And I matted them myself just using poster, which is it doesn't look as good as a professional mat, but from far away you can't tell, and it was just pennies on the dollar. I absolutely love these prints. On the left side of the bed, you can see that I have a desk, and I really wanted this to look like a student's desk. So it's a little bit more cluttered than I would have normally decorated, but I wanted it to look pretty authentic. I have my butterbeer artwork, which goes absolutely perfectly with the 3 Broomsticks etched bottle that I got on Etsy. I have a night bus ticket and the Marauders map that unfolds and has all the details in there. It's pretty cool. I thrifted this bird cage and got the little owl on Amazon. And in the bottom, I cut up an extra Daily Prophet newspaper that I had and kind of scattered it at the bottom for an authentic look. That's a detail that's always mentioned in the book. So there's a Daily Prophet newspaper laying at the bottom of Hedwig's cage. So I really wanted to include that. I think the devil's in the details, and I think it made all the difference in this little nook. For a wand holder, I just got one of those art mannequin hands and had it hold my wand for me. I thought that was a really cool way to display the wand. I saw this lamp online and really thought I could make it look like a crystal ball. So I started just with the orb. I took it apart and I started painting it kind of in swirling motions with a pearl paint, kind of an iridescent pearl paint. And you can't really tell in the photos very well, but it has a beautiful shine to it, very pearly. When it's on, you can see the pearl, but it didn't film very well. But you can see the swirling motions, and it looks really cool in person. So that could be a really cool craft for Halloween or anything like that. And then I just put it in this candle holder to give a little bit of height. I've got some wands on the bottom portion and a little framed piece of art that's some Mandrake art that I got on Etsy. I've got a time turner on the table and the real Quibbler that when you flip through it, it actually has different things on each page, and then a Daily Prophet newspaper. Now, the guy who made this Daily Prophet newspaper actually got a cease and desist from Warner Brothers and was asked not to make them anymore. So I got one of his last ones, and it is so incredibly detailed and beautiful. I absolutely love it. It does unfold as well, and it's just so cool. I got this deck of cards from Universal. It's like a Wizarding World set of cards. You can see the queen over there has a wand, and then it's got owls and other pretty illustrations on it as well. And then a Hogwarts alumni patch that I thought just added a little touch to the desk. To the left, I have some Honeyduke's artwork. So there's a chocolate frog, and it's a really beautiful detailed print that I got on Etsy that I absolutely love. And another Honeyduke's frame, and this is another one that I tea stained. So it was originally white, and I tea stained it to give it a little bit more of an aged look. If you keep going, you'll see my window that I've got, my herbology window is what I've called it, with lots of plants sitting in the windowsill, and we'll get into details of that in a minute. But I got this cling wrap off Amazon to give it kind of a Hogwarts look on the window. It was incredibly inexpensive, very easy to use, and also provides some privacy in the room, but I absolutely fell in love with it. Now, I wanted to make a Mandrake, and all the ones I saw online were so expensive, like over $100, sometimes almost $300, and I just was not going to be able to pay that, so I was going to make my own. So I started with a tinfoil ball, and then I gave it arms and a head, and you really have to trust the process here because I had no idea what I was doing. I added clay to it, which I never used before, gave him a little face, and I was really nervous about how it was going to turn out. I hated his little hands, so I ended up redoing that. When I painted it brown, I was really nervous about how it was going to turn out because he was looking pretty ugly, and he needed some dimension to him, so after I painted him brown, I added kind of a light gray and a light tan and rubbed it all over to give it almost look of a potato. And then it really turned out. The face looked better, the texture looked better, everything looked better. So I got this pot for $1 and I aged it up a little bit, made it a little bit dirty. You can see on my hands I didn't do that very gracefully, but that's okay. And I added this label, which I absolutely hated. I handmade it and it just did not look good. So I found a free printable online and printed that off and added it to the pot. It looks so much better. I'm going to leave it on the screen, so if you want to screenshot it, you can do that and print it out yourself. Now here's the final Mandrake. I thought he turned out so great. I was so excited. His little hands are actually made of roots, and I added some orchid leaves on top and a little bit of moss in there, and he just turned out really precious. I was really proud of myself. I'd never worked with clay before or anything like that, and it just turned out pretty cute. And next to that, I have a little pothos and a cauldron mug that I got at Universal, and he looked pretty cute in that mug. Then I created this little mushroom bowl out of a copper pot that my friend gifted to me. And I bought all these mushrooms on clearance at Hobby Lobby and Joann's. So I just added them to the little bowl and added some real moss, and it just turned out so cute and fantasy-like. It just made me really happy. So this is the little herbology windowsill, and oh, this plant I thought kind of looked like Devil's Snare, so I left him up there too. It was just an aloe plant, but I thought that kind of looked like Devil's Snare. To the left of the window, I've got a shelf with some, like my potions shelf. It also includes the rat cup that I made. Now hold on, before you cringe at that. In the books and in the movie, Ron's wand breaks and he tries to transfigure his rat into a cup, and it doesn't work. It gets stuck halfway. I saw an opportunity when I saw this cup at Goodwill, and I thought, well, I'll just use some clay and I'll try and make it myself. And it turned out a little creepy, but I still like it. So I put him on my shelf, and I'm pretty proud of it. Then I've got Borges Advanced Potion Making. It's actually a textbook cover from the movies and the book that they use. And then to the left, just a little bit of Cauldron decor. On the shelf below, I made some potion bottles. Each of them is a little bit different. I just got some bottles when they were on clearance, both at Hobby Lobby and the thrift store. Used dish soap and food coloring. And then here are the labels that I found online for free. If you want to pause it and screenshot those and you print those out yourself, I'll leave that on the screen for just a minute. And they turned out pretty cool. I'd say be careful, don't get them wet. You can see this one has a spot on it, but I just Mod Podged those on there to give it an age look. And it turned out pretty cute. I'm proud of that as well. My favorite was the gillyweed, which I added moss to, and it just created a really cool effect in there. So I was very pleased with that. Below there, I've got some hooks with some items on there, and we'll start with this lantern I found at a thrift store. It's called the Little Wizard, and I just highlighted the Little Wizard in gold so you could see it a little better. Then I have a basket of all the Harry Potter candies, chocolate frogs, Birdie Bots, every flavored beans, Fizzing Whizbees, fudge flies, all sorts of things in there. And they're all empty, so you don't have to worry about my dog getting into them. They're just for display. I found this adorable witch hat on Amazon. It's super cute. And then Ron Weasley's sweater, which I already owned the sweater myself, but I did shrink it in the washer a little bit, so I thought, well, I'll use it for this project. And I don't know how to knit or crochet or anything, and I started off and realized very quickly, this is not for me. I don't know what I'm doing. So what I did instead was I used all the yarn and created a very thick braid. And then I just knitted the braid, or stitched the braid onto the sweater in the letter shape. And it actually turned out really good. I was pretty proud of it. I mean, if you look close, it doesn't look great. But from far away, it turned out pretty good. Next is Hagrid's umbrella. Now online, these were pretty expensive, and they also weren't flowery, where in the books it's described as a flowery umbrella. So I found an umbrella at Goodwill for just a few dollars, and I painted it pink, and then I used some paint that I already had to like stamp on this flower shape and give it a little bit of dimension, and it turned out really cute. I was very proud of it. And that one just hangs in the corner. Next to the shelves are some tall, skinny alpine trees that I already owned for Christmas, but I thought I'll make them into the Forbidden Forest. So I created a little Forbidden Forest sign with some chain and a little piece of wood and some stamps that I already had. And then I put a picture of Hogwarts in the background, so it kind of looks like the trees are in the foreground and the castle's in the background. And I'm very pleased with how that turned out. I think at Christmas time, I'll put some twinkle lights in there and call it a day. I think that'll turn out pretty cute. On my desk, I have a cloche with some Quidditch hoops in there, kind of on a mossy mound. I was inspired by this cloche idea, but it was going to be a little bit more pricey than what I wanted to pay. So I got some skewers and some clay, and I made the hoops myself and painted them brown. With some paint that you can see here, I used a foam piece to make a mound kind of in the center. I just hot glued that down and added some moss on top. This is kind of embarrassing. I'm a really messy crafter. You'll see a little bit of that more in later pictures. When I do a craft, there's stuff just everywhere in the background, so please ignore that. But it turned out really cute. I got the cloche on clearance at Hobby Lobby, and I just think it turned out adorable. Next to it, you can see I have a snitch and an iron hand. I already had the hand, and I already had the snitch. Actually, it was just part of a necklace, and I took the necklace portion off highlighted it a little bit more with some gold, and just glued it onto the hand to kind of look like the hand is catching it. And I'm super proud of that idea. I think it turned out really great. On the left side of the desk, I have this antique letter holder that I thrifted, and so I bought some envelopes, added some red wax to it. I bought a few feathers and put them in an inkwell. It's actually an antique inkwell that I found at the thrift store, and it just turned out really cool and really authentic in this corner. This lampshade I actually painted black. It was originally in my guest bedroom, and it was a beautiful blue stamped shade, but I needed it to be black to fit the theme a little bit better, so I just painted it. And it turned out really cute. I'm very proud of it. It looks really great with the brass tall lamp and fits in this corner perfectly. Now here's a piece of artwork that I actually made. It was originally a mirror, and I printed off a large print of art and Mod Podged it onto the mirror. Let me say this, I did not do a good job. When I Mod Podged it on there were wrinkles. I didn't pay attention to it when it dried, and it just wrinkled up. So I had this idea of what I wanted to do with it, and I knew that if I messed up, it was going to be okay because this was just a Facebook Marketplace mirror and a failed art project. So I Mod Podged on two people on a broom and the Hogwarts castle in the background. I think it actually turned out really sweet. They blend in quite nice. It's very subtle, but super fun. And I just aged the gold frame a little bit more, and I'm super happy with how it turned out. You can still see some of the wrinkles, but that's okay. Next to the desk, I stacked up some cauldrons. I spray painted them with a texture spray that I already had left over from another project to really give them that cast iron feel. So that spray paint worked super, super well. Then I painted them black, and I did have to glue the cauldrons to get them to stay in that shape. I wanted them to look kind of wonky, but here you can kind of see some of the detailing on that texture really gave it an authentic, heavy look. And then I put some scrolls of paper coming out, just as if students were working on homework, and dumped their papers into the cauldron. To the left, I mounted some broomsticks that I handmade. They're all a little bit different. And I used different kind of sticks on each one so that each one had a different feel to it. Now, I got these broomstick handles on Amazon. They are $5 a piece, and I just painted them different so they wouldn't all be too matchy-matchy, and I'm very pleased with how these turned out. I think they're super fun. All right, let's talk about the mirror of Eris set that I created. This turned out super fun, but it was a very difficult project, so let me tell you about how I created this mirror. The first mirror I found on Facebook Marketplace was a good shape. It was very inexpensive, and I thought, well, I can make this into the mirror. In the clearance section, I found some fabric paint, and I thought, well, I will just create my own detailing on there. And that actually turned out okay. It was a little sloppy, but I thought from far away, no one will notice. Then I got paper mache letters, and I thought, well, I'll add these to the top to give it that effect. And here's where things started to go wrong. I felt that it kind of looked like the Eye of Sauron from The Lord of the Rings. So I tried to fix that by adding some foam and adding some cardboard to the top. And overall, I felt that the mirror just looked sloppy and kind of evil. So I went back on Facebook Marketplace and found this mirror, which is just the perfect shape. Already had some detailing on it, and I thought, okay, this is meant to be. However, I was in a moment of, I don't need to spend any more money, but I thought, this is just meant to be. I'm gonna make it work. So I brought it home. I painted it gold. I added the toppers to the top a little bit shorter than last time, so it didn't look quite as spooky. Once I painted it gold, I added some black paint in all the cracks and crevices to give it an aged look. Now here's where you have to trust the process again. I wanted it to have a very aged, almost like a corroded look to it. So what I did was I used hot glue in certain areas, and I sponged the hot glue before it dried to give it a texture. And I'm super pleased with how it turned out. It both hid how I attached the paper mache letters and added some detail to the mirror to really age it and give it a very unique look. I'm very proud of how that turned out. That's just how I did it. The whole project was a fiasco, but once I got that second mirror, things worked out pretty well. So this is my happy little Harry Potter room. I did it on a budget with not a lot of money, but a lot of creativity and a lot of excitement because Harry Potter just makes me really happy. Thank you for watching. I'll turn it back over to Jennifer.
All right, I know I may be partial, but you have got to admit that was amazing. And if you want to see more of Sarah's talent, you really need to go check out her Christmas tour. All right, I'll see you in the next video.